Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Amused Jester. My name is Junior. It's finally here. One of the things that I ended up doing a quick splurge on. This is the Slave One from the Vintage Collection of Star Wars. This is particularly from the book of Boba Fett. This whole thing about getting into the vintage collection line was initiated by this figure, the third sister. I did a review on her, and I was very impressed with how this figure moved and the detail on this face. Maybe for Star Wars, it should be the 3.75 line, because now we can get into the vehicles. And with Star Wars, you do need vehicles. Kind of like with G.I. Joe, you need vehicles, but G.I. Joe doesn't have this anymore, right? So for one thing that made me buy this, on Amazon during the past week, they were having a sale, and this was going for $90. $90, and I believe the original asking price for this was around $130. So that's a huge savings for me, and it just so happened that they had it on sale. So I decided to go ahead and buy it. Now, the vintage Star Wars collection, it's a very dangerous thing that I'm going into. Like I said, I already have a bunch of 6-inch scales, but I do wonder, I do have to limit myself on what I am willing to purchase at this scale, because where do I go? Do I go to the original trilogy, or should I expand? Right now, I also pre-ordered Luke's Red Wing 5. That's on pre-order, so that's I'm paying full price for that. And I bought a bunch of stuff like an ATST. I bought two of them for $80 each. But right, but right now, my plan for the vintage collection is to try and stick to the original trilogy for now, while at the same time trying to look for deals. Anyway, let's go ahead and open this up and see what I've gotten myself into. All right, so I've got it assembled. Took me a little bit of a while. I think my copy has a defect. I'm not entirely sure. I've looked at other reviews, but it was kind of getting frustrating because I've looked at it over and over, and theirs seems to be working fine. So the frustration is sort of kind of um, tinging my anticipation or my enjoyment of the process. But anyway, first things first, this thing is completely nicely painted, but I can see why some people were actually putting a wash to it. Even though, as you can see, the paint application does make this look like a weathered ship, like here and here. Um, it still doesn't look weathered enough. Like it still looks brand new, even though this is supposed to be damage to the paint and all that stuff. It just looks brand new. So I think later on I will also do just a slight wash to make the panel lights just a little bit more darker and kind of accentuate these supposedly paint damages on what's going on. That's basically it. But in terms of detail, look at that. There's a lot of detail going on in this ship. I mean, as plain as the front is in terms of the design, the panel work over here is just I mean, astounding for a toy. And then to see the back is just so busy and everything. So really very interesting. I think for the price that I paid for it, definitely is worth it for $89 because it also comes with a figure. Now, if the figure is supposedly $15, what I usually do is I take out 15 out of the 90, so this is technically $75, this vehicle over here. But I feel like you're definitely getting your worth. It also has these blasters over here that has some small missile, but the firing mechanism is just the back over here. Just push it. It does a pretty good force. So there's a few things I would like to talk about. During the installation, this whole cockpit area, you'll probably notice that it's very thin. I'm really afraid that eventually this might snap. This is clear plastic, and I mean like clear plastic. And also the way it tabs in or closes, it's basically just tabs in like this, like you just slip it underneath. So that's just working off of the flexibility of the plastic. If you look at the design of the cockpit, you'll see that the initial part here is clear, covered by the regular plastic over here, and I can see I have damage here. So I'm afraid that eventually this is where it's gonna break off, and unfortunately once that breaks off, you're kind of screwed. This thing over here actually locks into place, and in order for it to lock in, to be unlocked, is you need to swing this fins down. The problem with mine is that's the part that's broken on mine. Before I proceed, let's just talk about the damage on mine. I've looked over and over at a lot of reviews, and every time for them this thing swings freely. As you can see, mine is resistant. Another YouTuber says you have to do it both at the same time, otherwise it's resistant. And so I'll try and do that, but as you can see, as I force this, it snaps back in. There's just no way. And I've taken it apart, put it back together. It's just there's something inside here, and that the mechanism is stuck on something, and I don't understand. All right, so let's go on and examine the ship a little bit more. As you can see, there's a tab over here that you can lift, and you can open up the side of the ship, giving you a little bit of an insight to what's going on. Also, this keeps on popping up, so it's a little bit annoying, because in order to close it, you need both hands and squeeze it in. This part pulls off, so what you do is you lift and pull at the same time, and then there is a latch up here for a ramp up there. You can also see on the inside there's a bit of a vent going on. These two pieces, you put them together, and I suppose this is where you put the Han carbonite, and you're basically pushing him up along the ramp. Secure him over there, secure him like so, and then you push the ramp back up, and then you lock it into place. I see I fired my missile here. Then we close this up again. And then let's look at Boba Fett over here. Alright, let's take a look at Boba Fett over here. Now this guy is a really, really small face, but look at that face though. Like the eyes are actually painted well for such a like the eyes are actually painted well. I can't zoom in any more than that. I'm telling you guys, this is so amazing for somebody like me who grew up in the 80s, and all you're seeing is a curved line on the eyelids and a dot for the eyeballs. This is an amazing amount of detail on the sculpture alone and on the paint application. So in order to look at the body properly, I've gone ahead and removed the robe. Really quite detailed. He has his bandolier of bullets. Articulation at least 90 on the leg, almost 90 on the thigh. It does have a thigh swivel. Up and down, actually more back on the feet, nothing forward. It does have a ankle swivel. The head rotates pretty well. You can look up. You can look up naturally by a little bit and a little bit more down, side to side on the head. The shoulder goes up like so. There's a twist on the elbow that you can utilize, and then for the elbow itself has close to about, what is that, 115 degrees. Rotation on the wrist. This wrist hinges up and down. Okay. And he has a holster, but I didn't see any gun on my stuff unless it's in one of those smaller things. So I'm gonna have to look through my paperwork that I just threw away to see if I missed it somehow. So that's basically it for the guy. We'll put him up here. This is so weird looking at this cockpit because he seems to be supposed to just be standing on here. There's no seats at all. It's very awkward to put him in because his skirts is so wide that it's just in the way of everything. Alright, so I've looked online and I saw the issue with the wings. Apparently this wing issue has been plaguing this particular design since 2009, the initial release. So I can't believe that Hasbro still, after 15 years, has not fixed the issue. Now, the thing is, if you're having that problem and you want to fix the issue, you need to remove all 16 screws underneath here. Once you remove the screw, there's a mechanism right here. I'll show you a small part of the video that I shot. Lift this whole thing up. Okay. And the issue is this little mechanism over here. Weird. I thought there was supposed to be a screwdriver in there, but apparently not. So the whole problem is this spring. Spring is too strong. Now that little mechanism, all you need to do is remove that. There's going to be a spring in there. Apparently the spring is too strong. You can either replace it with another spring that you can get from a ballpoint pen, is what the guy said. Or what I did was I cut it and I lengthened it to the original size to make it a little bit weaker. But it wasn't working. I've tried over and over. It's just, and I have to keep on screwing two screws back on just to test it, and then I'm taking all the two screws again. It was just too frustrating. Okay, and the whole thing is, it's not even necessary. There's really no reason for that locking mechanism to exist. I'll tell you why. I'll show you why. So when in this position, Boba Fett is supposed to be like that, right? And technically when he's landing, this is on some sort of rotation, so that it rotates like so. As you can see, it's doing it just fine. I even have third sister in there just in case. So technically that locking mechanism, when you have this seats in this position, there's a tab underneath here that's supposed to come up when you flip the wings, like in this position. That tab is supposed to come up, and what it will do is it will lock the seats in place. My question to you is why do you need it to lock in place when it's in this? Because when you're moving it, it's not like it's moving a lot. It's not like it's rotating back to the wrong position of the seats. It's there. And the moment you notice, now the tab is not working on mine, but notice that when you put it up in the right position, it flips back anyway. And then you flip the wing to the proper position of how it's supposed to be when it's in flight mode. There's really no reason for that tab to exist. And mine is not, I mean, it's there, it's just not working, and I don't care. The only thing that matters to me that worked is the fact that I can now position the wings any time that I want to without any hassle. And that's all that really mattered. So my final thoughts on the Boba Fett Starship, formerly known as Slave 1. I bought this for $90. That's the price point that I got it for. And at the price point of $90, the value that I would assign to this would be around 11 or so. I wish it could have been higher. But the thing is, the issue with the wing, I thought that was unique to my case, or very few in a situation. But to know or to find out it's been there for almost 15 years and they still haven't fixed it. For me to be required to open it up. Now, if I didn't even happen to find that reviewer from 11 years ago, I would never have known what to do. I was going to open it anyway, but still, the fact that I still had to do it, it's kind of irritating. I was going to buy another one from Amazon and then replace it, and thinking it was, my situation was unique. But you know, I just ended up fixing it up. The other issue that I have with this is this canopy situation. Understandably, the canopy has to be clear. The whole gimmick of his seat flipping over is so vital, and the fact that you can see Boba Fett in there is so important to the feature of the vehicle, that it's understandable that this had to be a clear plastic. Unfortunately, with clear plastic, it's been well known that it tends to be brittle as it ages. So this whole canopy thing literally hinges on these 2 points. So if one of this breaks, you're kind of, that's basically it for you, for this canopy, you know. And also the other issue I have is this tab is designed so poorly. It pops off fairly easily, and then you're kind of having to pop it back in. That I think I'm gonna try to remedy it by installing some magnets like right here and then right here, and then just cut off these tabs completely because they're irritating. See, right now I'm just having a hard time just to tab it in if I'm playing with it. You know, if I'm the type of player that's just like gonna be messing around with this one, that's gonna be irritating. I like the play factor that's being given to us. The inside cockpit is pretty cool. The idea, you know, I initially, the reason why one of the things I wanted for is to have that scene where you have two stormtroopers carrying hand carbonite into the ramp, and you have Boba Fett here looking over. You know, I wanted that possibility of shooting that in a picture, or just having that as a picture. Now, if I had actually purchased this at the original price of 130, it's currently 118 on Amazon right now, but I believe the initial price was 130. If I would have purchased this at 130 with all these factors going on, I probably would have valued it below the price value. If the price value had been 130, if the original purchasing price had been 130, I would have valued this at around 9, maybe even 8. In fact, I don't think this is worth $130. If you think about it, $130 minus the 15 for the figure, that means this whole ship is $115. $115 for a model that's been used since 2009, and as far as I know, nothing really changed on the mechanism. In fact, nothing really changed in the mechanism to the fact that it brought over the issue from the ship 15 years ago. The only thing they changed was the paint application, as far as I know. I can't tell if the panel lines were made more intricate, more pronounced. I can't tell that because I don't have the old one. But as far as I can see, everything's exactly as it was before 15 years ago. So why would it be worth $130 when they just basically reprinted the same, or recasted the whole same thing? That doesn't make sense to me. So for $90, what I got it for, I think the value is close to the price that I paid for. Definitely, if you can find it, it's an amazing piece to look at. It's amazing. Look at how big it is. And then on top of that, the figure of Boba Fett in there. I'm telling you that the likeness that I'm seeing on the Vintage Collection is so amazing at that scale. It just blows me away. And then the articulation of the figure. So if you can get it for $90, go for it. I think it's well worth it, you know. Unfortunately, unlike the previous releases when this was still named Slave 1, this one came with a hand carbonite to put in. But since this is specifically for the Boba Fett show, the Book of Boba Fett, then there's definitely no reason to include the hand carbonite with the item. So I don't have that. But other than that, it's a great piece. It will display well, especially with the stand. The way it's going to be displayed as you're seeing it now. And I'm just glad I was able to take advantage of the sale to be able to have this on my display. And I really don't have any other place to put to display these things in. But we'll see how I will proceed with the Vintage Collection. It's definitely in a unique situation where the figures are good, they're very articulated, they look very nice, and then you have an accompanying ships that's just awe-inspiring. So thank you for watching my review. I hope you guys kind of been able to pull through it. I have more reviews on the way, a lot more of my splurge from Amazon's sale about the vintage collection just came in, so I'll be reviewing those, and I'll see you then. Bye.